What is going on, guys? My name is Lextasy and welcome back to the channel, and today I have a pretty cool video for you guys to watch. Definitely extremely painful to record because I'm starting to do the math in my head and I'm about to start crying real quick, but manly tears are something that you get used to whenever, I don't know, you buy a 2017 Audi R8 V10 and it comes with a twin turbo kit and a bunch of other problems. And today we're actually going to be talking about how much does it cost to put a twin turbo kit on an Audi R8 or a Lamborghini Huracan. We're not even going to mention the supercharger kits because honestly it's not even worth the time and effort to talk about. What are the supporting mods that you need in order to make this car reliable, and I know all about that now. And is it worth doing? So putting a lot of money into this car, is it actually worth the effort and the time and the downtime that you have to go through, and of course the price of the build? Now I'm going to say something right now, and I want you guys to hear this. Now, literally listen, look at me right now. If you don't hear a single thing from the rest of this video, at least hear this part. If you buy this car and you're expecting it to cost the same to build as your Ford Mustang, as your Camaro SS, or your Hellcat, I'm telling you right now, you're in for a big surprise, and it's not a good one either. Because I came from Hellcats. My wife has a Durango Hellcat right now that's modified. I had a regular cab short bed F-150 that was pushing like 1,000 horsepower. I've had multiple other cars and Hellcats, and I gotta say, I was not ready for the price point of this thing. Now, something you guys probably haven't heard of before, it's called a Lambo tax, or a Ferrari tax, or a McLaren tax. Basically, you buy the car that's stupid expensive, and now you got to maintain that car for a stupid amount of money. Oh, you want to modify that car? You might as well take out a second mortgage on your home in order to be able to do that, because, well, you're not modifying your Mustang like I said earlier. So let's go ahead and talk about how much does it actually cost to have fun with this car. So this is a 2017 Audi R8 V10 Plus, super nice. It's silver with the red accents, or the red interior with the red leather. Beautiful car. It's exactly what I wanted. By the way, when we get to 10,000 subscribers, which should be happening within a few weeks or so, this bad boy is going to be wrapped a different color because I promised it to you guys, and I already have that in the works. So if you want to see that, definitely subscribe. If you want to see us having fun with this car, or the Durango Hellcat, or the other stuff we're working in the other garage on right now, this is definitely the channel for you. So I bought this car with a twin turbo kit already. Now I'm going to talk about this car as if, let's say, it was bone stock, right? I purchased it, super nice, 600 horsepower, which is a lot of fun when you first get it, especially all-wheel drive and mid-engine. Great combination. It hooks and it books. But if you're like me, 600 horsepower is pretty cool. It's fun for about a few weeks, and then you realize Hellcats out there got like 800 to 1,000 horsepower and smoking a lot of things, and you don't want to get gapped by a Hellcat or a Shelby GT500 because, well, you'll be on the news. So you don't want that to happen. So you start looking at pricing on putting a twin turbo kit on this bad boy. Now this one obviously has the cheapy built twin turbo kit that it came with. I bought the car from Utah, so it was the West Coast. Obviously makes sense why the kit was put on. Love the kit, love the look of the kit. I love the sheepy emblems on the intercoolers themselves. It looks sick, and they got the little emblem on the back where the exhaust is as well. It's got center exhaust exit, which looks super fantastic. It's done right. Love the look of it. It sounds amazing. Nothing like putting turbos on the car and hearing that whistle on top of a V10 straight pipe motor. It's just like the most glorious sound ever. I don't know if I could ever be able to sell this car, to be honest with you guys. But let's say you bought it, you're getting tired of it, it's time. It is time to do more than just put exhaust on it or intake, or just do a little tune and try to get the most out of it. You want to go forced induction. There are 4 major companies that work on these cars and the V10 platform overall that I can think off the top of my head and that I've heard the most about. And I've seen cars that are built by different shops from them. So you got AMS, obviously out of Chicago. You got Underground Racing out of North Carolina. You have Sheepy, which is built from the West Coast in California. And you got Hefner, which is from Florida. So big shops. It honestly comes down to preference when you're picking and choosing which shop to go to. Every shop has their own horror stories. Nobody's perfect. Things go wrong. It happens. We're all human. I get it. Now, it is time to put a turbo kit on your Audi R8 V10 or your Lamborghini. Are you sitting down? I hope you're sitting down, because you're about to get a little bit rocked here. Let's start with this. Let's say you want to put a twin turbo kit on a Mustang 5.0 10-speed 2023. You want that 700, 800 horsepower. So let's say you put a Hellion twin turbo kit on it, right? It's about 750 wheel, 800 horsepower. That'll run you about $10,000 plus install. Probably pay somebody $1,500 bucks, $2,000 to install that kit, and you should be good to go. car runs great, 10-speed can hold that power. Now let's talk about an R8, right? You're ready, you start looking up, you go on the sheepy websites, and stage 1, which is what this is, so it's about 850 horsepower, will run you approximately $38,000 plus tax. Now that is installed, so you are saving a little bit there, but you're talking $40,000 on a $160,000 used R8 that you bought. So now you're at $200,000 to have an 800 horsepower car. When I say Lambo tax is a real deal, it's a real deal. It really does exist. And you're gonna say, well, holy crap, man, what is so different about it? Yes, they do install custom made intakes, which of course they are mounted on the top. You got custom exhaust, so there's more work to go into it. Precision turbos are the same whether you put it on the Mustang or you put it on an Audi R8. It doesn't matter. Same goes with Garrett turbos. It's the same turbo, just added to a different kit. But you know, everybody charges different things. AMS turbo kits are about the same. They're about 30 grand plus tax, plus installation. ECS tuning is the same. Underground racing, there's a little bit different, but everybody runs in $30,000 to $40,000 range. So you got the turbo kit installed. You're in complete love with the car. The turbo noise is insane, especially being right behind your head, and you just can't get enough of it. Every tunnel, you are just full boosting it, full throttle through there, so you can hear them spooling up and a little crackle at the end of it. Believe me, I get it. I hear it every day. It's hard not to daily drive this car, but it's got 55,000 miles and it's doing pretty good. Here's something I'm gonna tell you though. You got the turbo kit on there, man. That's fantastic. What about the supporting mods? It doesn't stop there. Now, did you know that on these bad boys right here, you cannot be doing pulls below 3rd gear or else that transmission is gonna explode. By the time you get to 3rd gear, you're about 80 miles an hour, which at that point you better be on the highway, because by the time you hit full boost in 3rd gear, you're well over 100, and then you just don't look cool at all, or it doesn't sound the same. So in order to be able to actually enjoy this car, you gotta build a transmission. If you want to dig the car, you got to do the half shafts as well, which are stupid expensive. So let's talk about the supporting mods. I buy my cars to enjoy them. That's why it's got a twin turbo kit on it. That's why I did more work to it, so I can actually abuse this car and use it like it's supposed to, especially how bulletproof the V10 engine itself is. When it comes to doing a twin turbo kit, you have to realize you're putting a lot more stress now on the whole drivetrain past the engine, right? Because now you added turbos, which are pushing a lot more torque, a lot more wheel horsepower to it, pushing it through the transmission into the transaxles and the differentials, and pushing it through the whole system. It takes a lot to make that safe, especially in a car like that. So let me tell you guys a little story. When I bought this car, and turns out it came with a lot of hidden issues as well that I wasn't told about. Small things like backup camera don't work, oh, I don't know, melted rear bumper, a bunch of other things. AC doesn't work, like air conditioning, which needs a new air compressor, or so we thought. Turns out it's got wiring issues. So this car, 3 weeks after I bought it, it went down. It went down hard. It actually happened on the street right down below, and shut off on me while I was doing the pull, giving my buddy a ride. Poor buddy had to walk home, so I'm sorry for that, Eric. But yeah, I pulled over to the gas station, waited 3 hours for a tow truck, dropped the transmission, because every code that popped up on the screen, I sent it off to multiple different shops, and they also have the same thing. You got transmission issues and you got clutch issues, man. Especially if you're a twin turbo kit with 50,000 miles, you're asking for problems, you're past the point of having to do it anyways. So drop the transmission, we got it done, we'll put it back in. Nothing changed. Turns out it was just the fuse that blew out, again because of wiring issues, thanks to the previous owner, who can really go and have fun with himself. But at the end of the day, I'm actually happy that we took the transmission out, because we found out that there were some internal parts, like the 1st gear synchro, that was overheated from probably doing a lot of pulls, and 2nd gear shifter or gear selector was actually really wore out. So let's talk about doing it the right way, right? You got the twin turbo kit on there. How do you make the rest of the platform and the drivetrain reliable? And that requires you to pull the transmission out and send it off and get the gears done. Now, 2 different ways of doing it, right? You have to understand, first off, dual clutch transmission. So there's a lot of friction happening every time you slap that gear shifter or the paddle shifter to shift into gear, right? Especially under boost, and a lot of torque that this engine is not set up for, and the transmission is not set up for, nor the stock clutches. So there is some people, don't get me wrong, that run 1100 horsepower on the stock transmission, somehow miraculously not having to do anything more than that, but then at some point everything goes out. So if you don't want to be like me and take chances, do it this way. drop your transmission, send it off to a shop, let them do the clutches, right? Because with so much friction, there's a lot of times that the clutch basket actually snaps. Other times your clutches just go out. They just shatter into a million pieces. So I highly recommend doing a 9-plate Pro Max Datsun clutch. It's a whole kit. It costs about $14,000. That's where it gets really fun. So you did the $14,000 clutches. Now, like I said, if you want to have fun, you definitely want to do pulls on the road. You want to do 60 to 130s. You have to do either one of two things. One, just a second gear upgrade, which you need, because if you ever seen the inside of a transmission on these cars, first gear is massive, second gear is literally like half the size of it. Literally can't hold any boost, is known to shatter, and when it does, you mess up the whole transmission. You need a new one. In my case, luckily, the amp that blew out, or the fuse that blew out, caused us to take the transmission out and find out that there was some parts in there that definitely need to be replaced because of higher mileage plus turbo kit already. So when you do it, do the second gear upgrade as well. That one costs about $11,000 for one gear. One freaking gear. You can pick up a stock R8 transmission on eBay for like 20 grand. I just spent $11,000 for one gear. Second option when it comes to doing the gearing himself, so if you know you're going to go higher than 800 or 1000 or about 1400 horsepower, you got to do the whole transmission, right? Especially if you know you're going to be abusing it, if you're going to take it to a drag strip, stuff like that. In that case, you have to do the whole gear set, which I don't even want to mention the price, but if I remember correctly, it's almost $25,000 to $30,000 just to do the whole gear set. So you got two choices. You can either do the second gear or you can do all the gears total. There is no in between. That's just the way Datsun provides it. And because I have the Dodge Durango Hellcat that we already run, and that's my drag strip car, I don't need a second one. This will be my 60 to 130 road racing car. So I didn't need the whole gear set done. Now, the next step, if you are going to be doing drag racing, or if you think for some reason you want to do some digs off the red light, it's so hard not to. I'm going to tell you right now, especially when you can learn how to do launch control and you hear those turbos spoon up a full boost and just like you're holding that brake, but you're like, man, I really want to let it go. And you do let it go with stock half shafts, you're going to explode. You're going to break those suckers right off, or the axles pretty much, and then you'll be done for. So you got to upgrade those as well. So you've done the 9-plate Pro Max clutches, which are about 14 grand. You've done the second gear, which is $11,000, and now you got to do the half shafts for about 5 grand or 4,500 bucks. So now at this point, you're sitting at almost $30,000 with tax. That doesn't include any other gaskets, seals, things like that you need done on top of it. Now on this one I did go a little overboard, and I also did the billet transmission sump, aluminum transmission sump. I did the billet diff plate cover as well, so that alone cost like 3 grand for those parts. I had no idea that little metal plate, just because it's billet, is stupid money. So yeah, for me to do an upgrade, all my transmission and the clutches cost me right at $40,000. So you would have spent $40,000 to do a turbo kit. Now you're at another $40,000 to make this transmission reliable and run correctly. Now I can tell you this though, at this point, after you've done the turbo kit and you've done the transmission upgrade and the clutch upgrade, you can absolutely enjoy your car at 800, 850 horsepower, no problems whatsoever. Now I was told by my shop that I can do digs at this point because I have a second gear and half shafts, but I don't think I want to see what it's like to fix this car again. I would like to enjoy it as it is. But here's the cool part. If you're like me, 800 horsepower, it gets really boring pretty quick as well. So now you're starting getting quotes for other work. Let's say, oh, I don't know, 1,000, maybe 1,200. Turns out it's not that bad to do the next stage, which is the fuel system. Because you have the direct injection and you got port injection on these cars. So you have 20 injectors on these vehicles, on these V10 platform R8s and the Lamborghini Huracans. Now you only have to upgrade the direct injection if I'm not mistaken. So you got to do the injectors for the next part. And then you got to do the fuel system obviously. So you would need to do a flex fuel kit and you got to do a fuel pumps and stuff like that. So that kit alone from AMS only costs about 6 grand. But then you need to tune the car as well. And you need to have a separate boost controller and retune everything on DS1. So the quote I got for the next stage, which we are going to be doing, is around $15,000. Now here's the crazy and the cool part about this all, right? The long block, or the engine itself unopened, can hold 1,500 horsepower. That is crazy, but that's because you have 10 cylinders to put out that much power. Less stress than if you're trying to do it on a GTR or even a V8 Mustang or Camaro or Hellcat, whatever. So now you know your engine is pretty much bulletproof. You got the transmission work done, which can hold up to 1,500 horsepower. In my case, I am aiming for 1,400, and to get there, you got to do the transmission, check. You got to do the fuel system next, check, but then you got to tune the car also. So you can't get away with doing DS1 with just the boost controller, guys, which that runs about 2,600 bucks plus the boost controller and tuning. So you're about 5 grand or so on top of doing that. Or you could go to Motec. If I say Motec, I'm pretty sure everybody in the whole wide world knows what that means if you ever even looked at a car before. Motec is pretty much like the king daddy of putting a new brain inside the car. This thing can control completely everything. It has so many safety switches and safety things built into the program itself. I want to say it will never let your car detonate or explode, but you can never predict what a car can do. But it has so much safety parameters built in, it can really safeguard that car. So if the timing is off by anything, if something is out of whack, it'll completely shut down and put the car in limp mode to save everything from exploding itself, the engine, transmission, and so forth. So Motec is the way to go if you're trying to get this thing to 1,500 horsepower. Here's the problem with that. The $15,000 quote that I got to get it to 1,400 does not include Motec. In order to do Motec, well, this thing has 2 engine ECUs, because there's the one bank for the first 5 cylinders on the left side and bank number 2 for the other 5 cylinders, since it's a V10. So you're not dealing with one ECU, you got 2 ECUs that you have to replace. So now one Motec computer costs 6 grand, times 2, you're at $12,000 on top of that $15,000 quote. So you're going to be running another $25,000 to get it to 1,400 horsepower. So let's say you robbed the bank and you came up with an additional $25,000. So now you're $40,000 to the turbo kit, $40,000 to the transmission, you're at $80,000, another $25,000, you're at $100,000 on top of $150,000, $160,000 R8. So now you're at $260,000 for this car. Is it worth it? Are you going to have fun at 1,400? I would say yes. I have never experienced 1,400 in this car. I have 2,000 in the GTR, which was insane and it blew my mind. But I really do think it's going to be a lot of fun. And this leads to my last point, and that is this worth it, right? That is the most important question that we have. Well, there's 2 different ways of looking at, is it worth it? Is it worth it for you because you want to have fun and worth it that way? Or is it worth it for you because, well, resale value and reliability? Because those 3 things do not go together. You can have resale value and reliability usually go together. You can't modify a car and expect to get all that $100,000 back when you sell it. It just doesn't work like that. Reliability also doesn't go with you know, having fun, because everybody knows the saying, oh, I don't know, what is it? Fix it, race it, break it, repeat. So in terms of me looking at it, is it worth it? I would say yes, 100%, because I'm a car guy. I always have been. I've owned over 75 cars at this point, 76 because I just bought another one. It's a Copart flip where we're going to take a $350 Audi and flip it to a $200,000 Lamborghini. If you love stuff like that and you want to see the process, subscribe down below. So in terms of me looking at it, I think it's worth it. Am I ever gonna think that I will resell it for this amount of money or get my $100,000 back? Not in a single chance in the whole wide world. Let's say right now, if I was to place this car for sale, the stock ones, V10 Plus with about 50,000 miles, are going for like 130s, maybe 140s in good condition. Add a turbo kit on it, maybe you can squeeze out 180 or so, and that's got to be done right. All the repairs and receipts and everything quoted on here. Because it's 55,000 miles, if I was to list it right now, probably 170. So I'll probably get like $20,000-$30,000 more for it, even though I got technically 80,000 additional in the car. In fact, whenever you do modify a car, especially when you're talking about exotic cars, GTRs even for that matter, Lamborghinis, Audi R8s, McLarens, Ferraris, if you modify the car, the chance of 100% of people being interested in that car goes down to like 20, maybe 25%, because once you get into that market, nobody's touching this car when you go to the Audi dealership. Nobody wants to do it. They'll do an oil change for you, but they're not going to take it apart because they don't know what else is built in, what else is done. Nobody's taking the rear bumper off to work on anything with the engine and transmission because it's just too much risk and liability for them. Most smart people, unlike me, will not buy a car that's already modified that's an exotic. I did because, well, the dude said it was literally perfect condition. I had a PPI done. I'm guessing those guys are buds because literally the dude said there was not a single issue wrong with this car until it arrived, and I completely knew I got screwed, and it's been a fun process. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been a little bit informative, but I'm going to tell you this, like I said, if you are making that big jump to an exotic car, you want to really experience it, unless you have stupid money laying around or you're really wealthy and entrepreneur. Enjoy it as it is. Enjoy it as it is. Put an exhaust on it, man. That's all you're going to need. It's going to make the right noises. It's going to be bulletproof. It's not going to have any issues whatsoever. Even higher mileage stuff will be okay. But if you start modifying it, not only save up enough to build the car and pay for the modifications, but put a lot of money in the back pocket, maybe 10 to 15,000 for anything that fails, because when it does, it's really expensive. It's hard to get into the shops because there's a lot of downtime involved with it. Not everybody has those parts on hand or in stock. There's a lot that goes into it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Comment down below, what else do you want to see me talk about when it comes to all my different cars that we have. Explore my channel. Let me know what you like and don't like. Drop a like as well, because that means a lot to make this video go up and help our channel grow. And I will see you guys in the next video.